The studio hums with electricity, a sound so faint, yet it feels alive. 1,000 invisible eyes wait behind blinking red lights. The air is too cold for comfort, recycled and metallic. It tastes like nerves. A hand, pale under the white studio glare, taps the wooden edge of the desk. Once, twice, then again. The rhythm isn't random, it's counting seconds or maybe courage. Across the room, a camera lens adjusts its focus, zooming in on the man sitting still. His face is half lit, sharp on one side, hidden on the other. Shadows cling to him like they've been waiting all day. No one speaks. The silence is thick, almost liquid. The crew pretends to check their monitors, pretending not to notice that something is wrong. A low hum from the ceiling light flickers in sync with his breathing. Slow, deliberate, uneven. Outside the glass walls, New York glows, alive, uncaring. Inside, time is suspended. The man exhales, his breath visible in the cold air. He blinks once, twice. Every motion feels measured, mechanical, like he's rehearsed how to appear calm. A faint click. Someone adjusts the mic on his collar. The wire trembles against his neck. In the control room, a red line moves across the soundboard. Heartbeat level quiet. A producer whispers, "We're rolling in 10." He doesn't respond. He doesn't look up. The camera's tally light turns red. Live recording engaged. His fingers tighten around a cup of untouched water. His thumb leaves a smudge on the glass. The condensation forms a small circle, cold and perfect, before sliding down. Behind him, the large digital clock reads 7 p.m. The interview hasn't begun, but the tension already has. The man finally raises his eyes, green, tired, unflinching. The reflection in the lens stares back like a second self, one that can't hide. The air changes. You can feel it, like thunder that hasn't yet cracked. The studio breathes in, cut to a close-up. A single bead of sweat rolls down the side of his temple. A faint whisper breaks the silence. "Ready when you are," but the man doesn't nod. He only stares. Somewhere in his silence, an unspoken war begins. The cameras are still warming up, their lenses whirring softly like restless insects. The man sitting under the spotlight doesn't blink for nearly 20 seconds. When he finally does, it's slow, deliberate, like someone waking from a long, unwanted dream. Prince Harry doesn't speak yet. He just sits there, shoulders slightly forward, fingers tracing the rim of his wedding ring. Round and round. The motion is quiet, hypnotic. Across from him, Anderson Cooper flips through his cue cards, pretending to read. He's been doing this for years. He knows when someone is ready to talk and when someone's here just to survive the segment. Tonight feels like the latter. The studio's white light bleaches color from Harry's face, leaving only the sharpness of his jaw, the faint twitch of his cheek when the word family appears on one of Anderson's notes. There's a stillness between them that feels unnatural. Not peace, but pressure. Like two people sitting at the edge of a cliff, knowing one wrong word could send them both tumbling. The teleprompter flashes quietly, reminding Anderson of the line he's supposed to open with. He clears his throat, but before he can speak, Harry leans back slightly. A move too controlled, too practiced. The prince has learned to anticipate intrusion. Years of cameras, of questions, of headlines that twisted his grief into gossip. They've built a wall around his tone, around his eyes. He looks toward the floor for a moment, then at his reflection in the table's glass surface. The reflection looks older, heavier, as if time passed differently for him. You can almost see the child behind those eyes, the one who followed his mother's coffin in silence. His small hand clenched white against his coat. A flicker of light dances across his face as another camera switches angle. His expression hardens, just slightly, before fading again into quiet neutrality. The control is impressive, almost royal. Anderson studies him. He's seen this before, people who come on camera not to speak, but to hide in plain sight. Still no words. Just that same rhythmic motion. Thumb over ring, pause, exhale. It says everything that needs to be said. And yet, behind that calm, something cracks, barely visible, but real. Tonight, the prince isn't running from the crown. He's fighting what's left of it inside him. The first words fall like stones into still water, soft, yet heavy enough to ripple everything around them. Anderson starts carefully, his tone gentle, calibrated. Harry, when you look back now, do you think the past ever really lets go? The question lands, quiet but sharp. Harry's eyes flicker for a second. A shadow passes through them. He inhales slowly, his fingers tightening against his knees. The past, he says, voice low, doesn't let go. It waits. The air between them grows denser. A light rain begins to tap against the studio's soundproof glass, faint, rhythmic, like a heartbeat trying to sync with silence. The rain becomes a metaphor for everything he's been holding back. Each drop, a memory that refuses to fade. Harry's words come haltingly, as if he's walking barefoot across broken glass. People think time heals. It doesn't. It hides things. Makes you believe you're fine, until one question brings it all back. Anderson leans forward slightly. The producer gestures from behind the glass. Keep him there, her eyes say. Do you mean your mother? Anderson asks softly. A pause. Then nothing. Harry looks away. The silence is thick. You can almost hear the echo of a crowd, the flashbulbs, the horses, the slow, cruel rhythm of royal footsteps behind a coffin. He doesn't answer the question. Instead, he reaches for the glass of water again. His hand trembles. A drop slips from his thumb and lands on the table, merging with an older one that had been there since before they started. The merging is subtle, but it feels symbolic. The old wound meeting the new. Anderson senses it. You've said before that you had to escape, that the palace wasn't home. What did you mean? Harry's eyes narrow, the anger underneath his calm beginning to surface. Home isn't walls, he murmurs. It's what's safe, and nothing in that world ever was. Outside, thunder rumbles faintly. Not loud enough to scare, but enough to warn. The rain thickens, streaking down the window behind them. The camera zooms closer. His voice drops lower. You can't breathe when every truth you speak becomes a headline. Then, a long silence. No one moves. No one interrupts. And in that stillness, his pain finally starts to speak. The rain outside turns heavier, its rhythm now an uninvited soundtrack. The droplets streak down the glass wall like blurred tears, tracing paths that never meet. Inside, the room has lost its warmth, the soft studio glow replaced by a sterile white glare. Anderson senses the air shift. The conversation has reached the edge of something dangerous. He glances at his notes but doesn't read them. He's improvising now. You've spoken about losing your mother, he begins, voice measured. But what about losing your brother? The words hang between them, sharp, surgical. Harry doesn't move. For a few seconds, even the rain seems to hesitate. The cameras hum quietly, their little red lights blinking like waiting eyes. When he finally speaks, his tone is flat. He's not lost, he's just somewhere I can't reach. Anderson leans forward. Do you blame him? A faint twitch crosses Harry's jaw. He opens his mouth, then closes it again. The silence feels longer than it should, the kind that makes people uncomfortable, that forces truth to the surface. Anderson continues, his tone tightening. Many think your book... Harry cuts in, voice sharp. My book wasn't revenge. The interruption shocks the room. The crew stiffens. One of the sound engineers mouths, keep rolling. Anderson pauses, then asks, quieter this time. Then what was it? Harry's gaze locks onto him, unblinking, relentless. It was survival. The words land heavy, echoing through the studio. Anderson doesn't flinch. And yet, your father said it felt like betrayal. That's the crack. The one line too far. Harry's body tightens, every muscle drawn. His voice lowers to a whisper, more dangerous than any shout. My father said many things, none when I needed him most. The camera catches it, a momentary flicker of grief that looks almost like rage. Anderson exhales. So when you say you don't regret leaving? Harry leans forward now, both hands flat on the table. You think walking away was easy? Try waking up every day and wondering if the world still wants to watch you break. Silence. Only rain and breathing. A droplet of sweat slides down his temple, catching the light. The studio is a held breath again, waiting for what comes next. The storm outside is nothing compared to the one now sitting between them. The air in the studio has turned sharp, like glass about to crack. The lights buzz louder now, the kind of hum that sneaks into the silence when people stop pretending to be calm. Anderson glances at his crew through the glass wall. They're frozen, waiting for someone to blink first. Prince Harry leans back, eyes lowered. The pulse in his throat gives him away. Anderson's voice drops to a whisper. "Harry, the night your mother died..." The sentence doesn't finish. It doesn't need to. The name alone is enough to shift the entire room. Harry's fingers curl into fists. The sound of his knuckles tightening is louder than the rain outside. A single breath escapes him, sharp and uneven. "Don't," he says. Just one word, quiet, final, dangerous. Anderson hesitates. His next breath sounds like an apology trying to form, but curiosity wins over mercy. "People said she..." "Don't go there!" Harry snaps, louder this time. The microphone catches everything. The tremor, the restraint, the buried scream behind the syllables. The crew flinches. Someone off-screen whispers, "Cut?" But no one moves. Anderson tries to steady his tone. "I understand..." "You don't," Harry interrupts. His voice trembles, not from anger, but grief. "You never will." He pushes back from the table. The chair scrapes harshly against the floor, echoing in the tense stillness. The movement jolts the water glass. It tips, spilling across the table, a brown streak of coffee running toward Anderson's notes. No one breathes. Harry removes the mic from his collar, the wire snapping softly as he pulls it free. The sound, that tiny rupture, feels louder than a shout. Anderson calls after him, "Harry, wait!" But the prince is already at the door. He pauses only once, glancing back, eyes wet, jaw tight. "There are questions you ask to understand," he says quietly, "and questions you ask to hurt." Then the door closes. Rain still whispers against the tinted glass of the car. Streetlights blur into gold ribbons as they pass, reflections bending across the wet pavement. Inside, Prince Harry sits in silence. No cameras, no questions, no lights. Only the muted hum of tires and his own pulse echoing faintly in his ears. The storm has moved outside, but its residue lingers inside him. His reflection stares back from the window, fractured by raindrops. For a moment, he sees not a prince, not a soldier, not a headline, just a man trying to remember how to breathe. His collar is still creased from the mic cable. His hands, once steady, now rest open on his knees. There's no ring fidgeting this time, only stillness. Back at the studio, Anderson Cooper remains seated. The crew moves carefully, whispering around him. The cameras are off now, but the tension hums like static that refuses to die. Anderson replays the last moments in his mind. The words, the silence, the door that closed too softly to be angry, too final to be casual. He exhales through his nose, slow and heavy. The kind of breath people take when they realize something important just slipped through their fingers. A producer breaks the quiet. "Do we air it?" Anderson doesn't answer. His eyes are fixed on the empty chair across from him, the imprint of where Harry sat, the untouched glass of water still sweating onto the table. "Not tonight," he says finally. Let him breathe. The city outside hums with life. The rain has softened now, washing neon colors across the streets. In the car, Harry leans his forehead against the cool window. The condensation forms around his skin, blurring his reflection until he's almost invisible. It's oddly peaceful, the calm after the collapse. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wails, long, lonely, fading into nothing. Harry closes his eyes. For the first time in a long while, there's no script to follow, no image to protect. Just quiet. Just the sound of rain and the weight finally slipping off his shoulders. And in that fragile calm, the storm he carried for years begins at last to pass. The rain has slowed to a gentle drizzle, soft, forgiving, almost musical. In the quiet back seat of the car, Harry opens the window just enough to let the air in. It smells like wet asphalt and distant coffee, like the kind of night that wants to start over. The city hums outside, unaware that something fragile just cracked open and began to heal. He looks down at his hands. No crown, no script, no armor. Just skin, just breath, just a heartbeat that finally sounds human again. A faint smile flickers. Not joy, not victory, but relief. The smallest kind of peace, the kind you earn only after you stop fighting. Cut to the empty studio. The lights are dim now. Anderson sits alone, watching the playback on a small monitor. The screen flickers with Harry's last words, the unfinished sentence, the long silence that followed. For a while, he doesn't move. The world will want to see this moment, to dissect it, debate it, headline it. But sitting there, Anderson understands something the cameras can't capture. That silence sometimes says more than confession ever could. He presses a button. The screen goes dark. Back to the car, Harry watches a young couple cross the street, laughing under one umbrella. He follows them with his eyes until they disappear into the light. He breathes in slowly and whispers, not to anyone, just to the night. She would have wanted me to stop running. The rain answers him with a soft patter against the roof. For a moment, the first image returns, a microphone waiting in the dark, the hum of a studio holding its breath. The story comes full circle. The same silence that once held fear now holds freedom. Then, the voiceover begins, calm, low, sincere. Sometimes, the loudest truth isn't spoken. It's the pause that follows. The moment when we finally let go of being understood and allow ourselves to simply be. A long beat of stillness. If you felt this, share it. Not for him, not for the story, but because silence, when shared, becomes healing. The rain fades, the city exhales, and one quiet breath closes the story exactly where it began. Sometimes silence speaks louder than confession. What you just witnessed wasn't an interview. It was a man trying to breathe beneath the weight of his own history. Every pause, every tremor, every word he didn't say was a piece of truth too raw for headlines. If you felt that tension, if you saw yourself in the quiet between his words, then you understand. This story isn't about royalty or rebellion. It's about the cost of being misunderstood, the courage it takes to walk away from noise, and the ache that comes with searching for peace in a world that profits from your pain. So if it moved you, share it. Not for the views, not for the fame, but because stories like this remind us that even in silence, we're not alone. Let this moment ripple, one viewer, one heartbeat at a time. Because sometimes empathy travels further than any breaking headline. And if one person watching finds the strength to face their own truth after this, then the story was worth telling. If you felt this, share it. Because silence too deserves to be heard.